Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to address a rumour. Now, we don't address rumours all that much on this channel, but it's not really a rumour like that, because it's building on something we already knew before. You see, I told you a little while ago that VMAX Climax had been trademarked over in Japan, and that this trademark was made in the same way as multiple other trademarks in the past. So, for instance, we have previously seen trademarks for things like Eevee Heroes, which of course then became the set, Eevee Heroes. And then a little while ago, in fact, around about the same time as VMAX Climax, there was a trademark that was gone and registered for Fusion Arts. And of course, we now know sitting here that Fusion Arts is Sword and Shield 8 and is coming out in Japan in the not too distant future. It's introducing fusion Pokemon into the game. This is absolutely known. So when we see these trademarks coming, and don't get me wrong, you know, and a lovely Primal Lugia helps me out a bunch with this, sometimes we might get the wrong thing, but so far our hit rate has been pretty gosh darn good. When we're picking up these trademarks, they end up being set names. So VMAX Climax is almost certainly a set name. Again, it's not been announced, it's not been confirmed, but come on, ladies and gentlemen, come on. Well, it turns out that there are a whole bunch of people, and I mean a whole bunch of people, saying that this is going to be a high-class pack coming out on December the 3rd, 2021, and yeah, all of this makes absolute perfect sense. Now, for those of you that don't know what a high-class pack is, I should probably explain. The last high-class pack we actually got was Shiny Star V. High-class packs are the fun ones. It's the one where they tend to be largely reprints, but there are a whole bunch of shiny Pokemon. They are very much the sets that everybody goes absolutely crazy for, that sell out extremely quickly, and people over here just struggle to try and get hold of them. So Shiny Star V, not 100%, but almost just came over here as Shining Fates, so the majority of you are probably pretty comfortable with this one because it did just come over as Shining Fates. So it was a set that brought in all of those fancy shiny Pokemon, and it was a really cool set. And it was one that everybody loved, and it was a very popular set and one that everybody was into. That is, of course, not the only high-class pack we've had. In the not that distant past, we had GX Ultra Shiny, which was another high-class pack, very, very much like we saw with Shiny Star V. I mean, this one, again, not 100%, but largely just got translated over here as Hidden Fates. So it had all of those shiny Pokemon again, and it was extremely popular, and everybody loved it. It's the kind of ones where over in Japan they have larger packs, but the pull rates are way better, and there's lots of shiny Pokemon, and yeah. These are the kind of sets that people go absolutely crazy for. So my point is, if this is another high-class pack, it's going to be an extremely popular high-class pack. Now, Shiny Star V actually came out in Japan on November the 20th, which was the end of last year, and GX Ultra Shiny actually came out in Japan on November the 2nd, 2018, so again, at the end of the year. These are the kind of sets that Pokemon over in Japan tend to release at the end of the year to wrap up the year of releases, as it were. So it makes absolute perfect sense that VMAX Climax would be a set released to celebrate the VMAXs. I mean, the clue's pretty much in the name there. And it makes sense that this kind of product would be released at the end of the year, because these products over in Japan are always released at the end of the year, and it would make sense that it would have a whole bunch of shiny Pokemon. Again, this is not confirmed, this has not been announced, but it seems very, very likely indeed. Now, it is real, it is confirmed that the trademark for VMAX Climax has been put in. That is absolutely confirmed. That is a real thing. And similarly, we can look at the previous release schedule here, and we can go, okay, then that makes absolutely perfect sense. But outside of that, we are very much in, hey, let's try and figure it out territory. Again, huge thank you to the lovely Proka Guardian, Primal Lugia, for bringing this to our attention. So I think this is all a pretty sensible prediction. As for the December the 3rd release date, it's ever so slightly later than we saw from Shiny Star V and GX Ultra Shiny, but not enough to really make us worry about it in any real sense of the word. This all just makes absolute perfect sense. I can't tell you there will be a whole bunch of shiny Pokemon in there, but I absolutely can tell you it would be a bit of an upset if there weren't. Now, similarly, we could look at an English release, and it is likely to be a special set released in and of itself, not put into one of our main sets. So like I told you, Hidden Fates did come along as its own special set. Now that one we waited the better part of a year, from November 2018 to August 2019, whereas Shining Fates we didn't have to wait nearly as long, from November 2020 to February 2021. So again, cannot guarantee that, but it's likely that a similar kind of thing would happen. And this should be exciting to everyone. This should be extremely exciting, because this is going to be a set that everybody wants and everybody is after. Again, your best bet here is to wait for the English release, which probably will be in the earlier part of next year. I think Pokemon looked at Shining Fates and looked how well it did and how popular it was. And bearing in mind, you look at February, it's 2 months after Christmas. February is not a great month generally for sales of things like toys and card games. It is not a banner month. So to be able to release something like Shining Fates in February was huge for Pokemon, and I think they would relish the chance to be able to do something like that again. But these are not the only products which are apparently going to be coming. There is also apparently a special set Zacian Zamazenta vs Eternatus coming on November the 5th, and the Sword and Shield Starter Deck 100 coming on December the 17th. Now, obviously, over here, outside of Japan, there is absolutely no way they would release a product that close to Christmas. Over in Japan, things are a little bit different. In places like Europe, US, etc., you do not release products that close to Christmas, because you want to release them early enough to really get people in with the shopping. But obviously consumer habits are different in different countries, and it wouldn't be the first time we've seen Pokemon TCG products released right on the eve of Christmas in Japan, so I wouldn't read too much into the date there. It doesn't make sense as a date in the US or Europe, but over in Japan we've seen things like this before. Now obviously there's really not very much we can do here in terms of figuring out what this is going to be, because the reality is these are just not products we tend to see. I am not aware, and again, please correct me in the comment section if I'm mistaken here, I'm not aware of any special set this Pokemon versus that Pokemon coming out in Japan in the recent past. This is not the kind of product we tend to see. Obviously, we know it's going to feature Zacian, Zamazenta, and Eternatus, but remember, we've already had good Zacian and Zamazenta Vs and a good Eternatus VMAX. Now, with Eternatus being like Eternatus is, if you played the games, you'll understand, it absolutely makes sense to put Eternatus in as a VMAX. And with Zacian and Zamazenta being as they are, it absolutely makes sense to put them in as a Pokemon V, but not a VMAX. That's what I'd like to see from this set. Zacian V, Zamazenta V, Eternatus VMAX. Again, none of this is confirmed, but it does make an awful lot of sense. As for the Sword and Shield Starter Deck 100... I'm not 100% sure what this is, but we've seen starter decks over in Japan in the not too distant past, and we've seen these V decks that they've been doing. They've done a couple of waves of them where you get a Pokemon V and a bunch of other stuff, and these make sense. Now, obviously, we've seen these high-class VMAX decks over in Japan, the most recent of which featured your Inteleon and Gengar, but if it was going to be those, presumably we would have been told. Now, similarly, if it was just going to be a V deck, like previously in Japan, presumably we would have been told, but I can imagine it being a product something along the lines of, it's a 60 card deck, but you also get 40 other cards that you can use to kind of mix things up a little bit. Interestingly enough, they have just revealed a new product for the Final Fantasy TCG, which they call the Custom Starter Set, where you do essentially get a deck of 50 cards, and then 50 other cards to essentially edit your deck, to play around a little bit and make it a little bit different. Honestly, that's what this sounds like to me. That is what this sounds like. I could be wrong, but I kind of like it. Now, I've deliberately left this bit to the end, but there are some rumours of some cards which are going to be coming in this high-class VMAX pack, just to go back to that very quickly. Apparently, there is going to be an Ultra Ball reprint. That would be absolutely huge. Ultra Ball was legal for years, and it was basically a 4 of in every deck. Discard 2 cards from your hand, search for any Pokémon. It would pretty much instantly go back as a 4 of in the majority of decks. It's absolutely nuts. Apparently, we would get a Gloria card, and all the Gala gym leaders would be reprinted as a secret rare card, which is something I would be very much into. But again, we can't say that with any real certainty. It's nice to think what these kind of cards might look like, but in terms of these art cards, I think there's a reason I popped it in on the end. I don't think it's a particularly big deal. I do, however, think that it is a particularly big deal that we might be getting Ultra Ball back. Ultra Ball would be absolutely huge as a thing coming back. Don't get too excited, it might not happen, but the return of Ultra Ball for competitive players would be absolutely nuts. Maybe I should have put that earlier in the video. It's too late now, ladies and gentlemen. We're already here. For now, I want to know what you think about all of this. I want to know if you think this sounds sensible, and I want to know how much you want Ultra Ball back. So go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.